Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Now, let's talk about The Greatest Showman. Me and my mom, MovieManCHAD and MovieManCHAD Mom, saw the film tonight. I've been wanting to see this movie. I'm a big fan of Hugh Jackman and musicals, and this musical is a new musical. It's not based on like old musical, even though it is based loosely based on the life of P.T. Barnum. The music, I should say, the songs and the lyrics are from the same team that wrote for La La Land. That's their big promotion, La La Land, because this is a new director. It's first film, but it's got a big cast. Of course, includes Hugh Jackman and, gosh, what's her name? Michelle Williams, Zac Efron, and Rebecca Ferguson, and Zendaya, whatever her name, Zendaya, something like that. It looked really good, and from the trailers, there was lots and lots of energy. So I had a lot of excitement to see this film since I've grown as I've gotten older. In the last 20 years of my life, I have grown to really love musicals and love the stage. And in my mind, want to perform myself and sing and dance and make a fool of myself and stuff like that. So going to see a movie like this I'm very excited about it because, I do have an appreciation for it because I feel like there's so much talent on screen. I wish I could be a part of it. So now that we have seen The Greatest Showman, as I've said what it's about, Mom, what was your excitement for this film, and how did you feel about this film? Oh. And so first, your anticipation to see the film, when you saw the trailer, and then now that you've seen it, what did you feel?
Okay, I totally was excited to see it because I am a Hugh Jackman fan.
You're a huge Jackman fan.
I am a huge Hugh Jackman fan ever since I saw him in X-Men.
In 2000?
In probably 2000, yeah.
It wasn't Kate and Leopold?
No, that was after.
It was after, yeah. Which this movie has some ties to it because, of course, Hugh Jackman has worked with James Mangold a couple times in the Wolverine movies and in Kate and Leopold, and James Mangold is an executive producer of this film. Okay, so you love Hugh Jackman. Go.
I thought he was wonderful in this movie.
No, but were you excited to see this film?
I was definitely excited to see this show. Definitely. He was fabulous in this show. It started out a little slow, but built up, and I thought the choreography was amazing, and it was exciting. Wasn't the most perfect musical I've seen. I have some favorites, but I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Hugh. I thought he was fabulous.
How did you feel about the rest of the cast? You were saying, because Rebecca Ferguson plays this famous singer, and you actually knew about her, because this is loosely based on truth.
Oh, Jenny Lind. Oh, yeah, she played the part of Jenny Lind, who's a famous singer in the 1800s, and at that time, and how they brought her to stage, and how they brought her to recognition in this country, although she was from the British Isles. That time, and so yeah, she did. That girl, whoever she was fabulous. Played the part.
Yeah, I thought she was great in that scene, but it turns out she didn't do her own singing. It was she said. I guess I did some research. And it said that Rebecca Ferguson has had some singing training in her life, but she wanted, if she was going to do the role justice, she had to have a real singer sing for her. So they dubbed her, and it's a beautiful song. And
you couldn't tell that she was dubbed. I thought they did a fine job of making it look spot on, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, she did a good job to convey that it looked like she was really singing, but I'm watching him, it's like, I don't know if they've ever established that this actress can really sing like this. There's some unknowns in the film that I imagine can sing, and they give off really great performance, especially this bearded woman in the film.
Fabulous.
I miss my beard. I saw this beard from this bearded woman, and I missed my beard now that I've shaved it. I figured that was a really she did a really good job, what I meant to say. But what was interesting, because that wasn't real, in the sense that she wasn't really singing her own songs when it came to Rebecca Ferguson, I read somewhere that Zeldana did all of her own stunts when it came to the chimpanzee.
Amazing, just amazing. There was a scene with her and Zac Efron that was, wow. It was one of my favorite scenes. I don't want to give away anything, but it was one of my favorite scenes where they did a duet and the way they danced as acrobats, and it was just fabulous. I thought it really was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a really nice sequence. But I want to talk about the whole film right now. Now, I was excited to see this film, as I said before, fan of the cast, and it's, you know, I loved La La Land, so that kind of got me into the seat. And it's rated PG, so it's a nice change of pace from dark, depressing movies that I love that make me sad and make me think a certain way or entertain me in a shocking way that really pushed the envelope. And I was quite happy that I was going to see a PG-rated film that hopefully was for the entire family, and it starred, I keep on forgetting her name, Michelle Williams, who's a really great actress, and she's known to be in these sad, depressing movies like Blue Valentine and Brokeback Mountain, and she's just so sad, and it's so nice, and she's singing, I don't know.
Pace.
Yeah, so it's like nice to see just a movie that you wouldn't think would be made anymore. I think movies like this were made more in the 30s and the 40s when musicals were so popular in the 50s.
I was surprised. Did she sing? Was that her voice?
Maybe.
A little bit. She sang a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. It's just, to me, watching a movie like this and hoping, you know, I want a feel-good movie and a movie that's fun and entertaining. It has some good songs in here. And to kind of talk about what you were talking about, how the movie started. The movie starts with you hitting you pretty much in the face. I felt like I was hit in the face right in the beginning, because it's like, bam, bam, here's a song, and then here's another song, and then here's this lovely song that kind of tells through the youth of P.T. Barnum, and then there's all these songs, and I'm like, well, maybe if I was used to these songs, I would have liked them from the first, but it was kind of hard to get into this movie for a while. It's very sappy, it's very cheesy, nothing's really subtle in this movie. There are some moments as the movie was going along where it was some subtleties, but for a while it's just like, here we are, we're the circus, and of course it's about the circus, and P.T. Barnum, he's a showman, he's a what'd you call him?
He's a showman.
He's a showman, but you were saying he's kind of like full of himself, you know.
Well, he was arrogant, and he was trying to, you know, he had to be outgoing, and you couldn't and get these people. He had to find the people to bring them into the circus, and he would exploited these people because they all had, well, I don't know if they call it special needs or handicaps, or they were all called curiosity. They were bringing people in that were curious to see people they'd never seen before, such as Tom Thumb, and who became very famous. That was another one of my scenes where I had read about the Queen of England and how she wanted to meet Tom Thumb, and how the circus went to England. They asked, because it got so famous, she asked them to come and see her. I thought that was fascinating, because I had just read about that in her life story. Yeah.
So this movie, as we said before, is very loosely based on the life of this journey.
That was a true part when she asked them to come. She wanted to meet Tom Thumb because she was fascinated by his story, and and she showed the utmost of respect to him. In fact, they became kind of friends. I think he came on his own and came back to visit her again. I'm not sure, but
in the sequel.
Yeah, no, it's just that they became kind of friends. I don't know if they corresponded or not, but I'd have to look that up. But she just loved him. She had so much respect for him. And then, I mean, he was a pretty, what do you call it, outgoing guy. At first he wasn't. I guess they kind of show him as not, kind of shy, because he was a little person, a dwarf, whatever you call. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend or anything, but
that is the right term, though.
It is, but they're usually little people. I remember
little people are dwarf. You don't want to call them the N word.
Oh, what? Oh, no, yeah, no. Like my mother. Yeah. No, no, but
don't like the M word.
No, and that's okay. I just I remember when Billy Barty started that. He wanted to be called a little person and not these other words. But he just showed respect, that she had respect for him, as he was human and that he wasn't just a little person, that she thought he was amazing. She just thought he was the most amazing, and they kind of had a kind of a friendship.
I think this is the movie you want to see next, Mom. You know, you want to see the sequel to this whole adventure.
Tom Thumb.
Yeah.
This is the story of Mr. Tom Thumb. It wasn't his real name, of course.
Of course. The movie doesn't really focus on like the individual lives, except for Zac Efron and his love interest, and then of course P.T. Barnum and his journey to be famous, and then his relationship with his wife and children, which was nice. And so the cast of characters are colorful and they're interesting, but I don't really feel like we got to know them really well. They're too busy just dancing around, which was amazing, for a time, and the singing and all that stuff. I would have liked if there was more quiet moments in the film, more simple moments where we actually get to know maybe the bearded woman in her life before, and maybe the dog boy and the guy who's really tall and the guy who's really fat, the tattoo man. We don't really get to know them. This movie's more interested in the spectacle. And after a while, I think it was the scene. There's a scene where it's in the song is used in the trailer, and it's the one that I recognize because it was in the trailer, and it's a song that starts with the bearded woman singing the song. And that's when, for me, the movie started to find its footing, and the songs got better after that. We got the scene between Zac Efron and Zendaya, and that was a really nice scene. And so it started to entertain me even more. I admired the film throughout as a spectacle and as it looked, and I'm a sucker for the song and dance, but the heart of the film didn't really form until halfway through the film. And it is a movie that is predictable. I didn't even know the story, whatever story this is based on, what true story, but I felt like I kind of knew where it was going. I felt a little manipulated, but in a decent way, in a good way. I wasn't mad about the manipulation. I know movies, if they can hide the manipulation, they're the greatest movies ever, because they've manipulated us to believe that they are true. But when you feel manipulated when you're watching a movie, it makes you upset, it makes you mad. It feels like, I just spent all my hard-earned money on you and you've betrayed my trust. In this case, the manipulation was fine. I just felt like this was a nice movie that I'm surprised Hollywood still wants to make anymore, and it makes me happy that they want to take a break from maybe making a movie that's all political or make a movie that's got a message, a hardcore message. And this movie has a message, but it's not in your face, and it makes you feel good, and it's fun to look at, and it's colorful. And as the songs, you get used to them, you start to enjoy them, they become a part of you. And as I was going home, I found the soundtrack on Google Play, and I was listening to the soundtrack and even the first two songs, which I wasn't too impressed with. And when I was watching the movie, I was more impressed as I was just driving my car and listening. They started to become part of me. And the songs that I love already, I'm going to look forward to hearing again. But the songs that I don't think I was too impressed with, I'm enjoying now after watching the film. Not a great film by any means, but it is a surprisingly weird, strange, beautiful, cheesy, sappy throwback to a simpler time. Even though I wouldn't want to live during this time this movie takes place, because the diseases and plagues and stuff. Even though the clothes look great and the horse and buggy looks great and all the costumes and all this stuff, and I like the tip of the hat to critics in this movie. I do like the tip of the hat to critics. Actually, there's this one critic in this movie that really harps on him a lot, and I think it's also someone who's a little snobby and stuff like that at the same time, but has a lot to say as a critic. He's very interesting as a critic. It's interesting a little bit. Of course, this movie doesn't focus on that much, but the classes of the poor, and it kind of puts a sugar coat of the poor and of the rich. It gives you that, but doesn't really dig deep into it. This movie is really about just entertaining you for the time that it's being, and it does a good job, and it's not very long. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. And by the end of the movie, it was like, I like this movie, and it's so hard to not like this movie and enjoy this movie. So I would give it a strong thumbs up. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I liked it a lot, but it did take me a little while to like it. Yeah. And then about, maybe a third of a way through. But I felt that I think Hugh Jackman would enjoy making this movie because he is so family-oriented. He loves his family so much. I've listened to him rave about his children and his wife. And I think he, in my way, I felt like this was special for him because he could show how important that P.T. Barnum's family was to him. And he did, there were times when he kind of lost that and forgot about it, and then he remembered how special they were to him. So I think Hugh might have personally liked making that movie, that part of it.
Well, it says, I read here also that he has been wanting to make the movie for almost 10 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, good. Way to go, Hugh. Way to go. Perfect, not perfect musical. One of my favorites is Singing in the Rain, and nobody else.
Fiddle on the Roof is one of my favorites.
I mean, you just don't get musicals like that anymore. But I just really enjoyed it. I did.
And like La La Land, which I do love La La Land, I feel like this film and La La Land will one day be turned actually into Broadway plays. They will add some more songs. Even though I felt like this one had more songs than La La Land and would definitely fit better in the genre of Broadway. Because it does feel like that. Sorry, go ahead. Any final thoughts, Mom?
No, that's fine. I loved it, and I appreciate. And you got time to actually do the way he sang his usual Broadway singing, and not more operatic like in Les Mis. He actually sang. I could hear him sing and do what he is more comfortable with, more in his comfort zone. I would think. To me, that was my opinion.
Yeah, he was good. He was good, and I mean, there are points of this movie where it was just fun to watch everybody dancing, and the choreography. Thank you, Mother. Yeah, you say that, Mom. Please say that again.
The choreography was amazing.
Yes, and I think that's what this movie was. Its main focus was just to entertain you and to forget your troubles, as movies should be. Movies should be, I feel that movies definitely should also be able to teach us about ourselves in some way, as long as they're not preaching in my face. But in the end, movies were made to entertain you, to make you forget about the troubles of the world for a couple hours. And this movie is a perfect example of making you forget what's going on in the world today and just enjoy yourselves and enjoy some fun acting and some decent performances and some really good songs that I think will grow in time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everyone, in the comment box below, what did you think of The Greatest Showman? And what is your favorite musical of all time? We gave you ours, of course, under a part of Singing in the Rain and Fiddle on the Roof. There are just there's 100 number ones for me. I mean, Fiddle on the Roof is one of a million ones that I love. But I just, from the top of my head, I was thinking. So in the comment box below, let us know what you thought. And have a great rest of your day. This is MovieManCHAD and MovieManCHAD Mom signing off. Bye.